Good morning to all of my Facebook friends and happy Saturday. It's good to see you. I don't do too many videos just here on my personal Facebook page. Most of my things that I do are on the church or related to other things. But I had some thoughts on my mind that I think do really apply to all of us here today, and some things that I'm struggling with and really trying to grow into myself, because these are challenging times that we're in right now. There's a lot of animosity, a lot of division between us, and a lot of frustration on all sides of a lot of things that are happening right now. And I think a lot of us probably don't feel understood, maybe, or we don't feel appreciated, or that our perspectives matter, and that can be hard. And I have something that's been kind of rolling in my mind a lot recently, and it's the idea, a couple of ideas kind of compiled together. One of those ideas is opening up space, opening up in the midst of our own strong opinions and feelings about things, to kind of leave open that space that we may not see the whole picture, or we may not see things as clearly as we think we do. Because sometimes, if we're honest, all of us, myself included, kind of think, well, if everybody just saw it the way that I see it, then we'd all be just fine, right? It's so clear to me. I don't see how anybody could see it differently. I know I'm tempted to think that at times as well, but I don't believe that it's true about me. I don't believe that I see with the clarity that it feels like I do. And I really have a concern that sometimes, in the weight or the angst of wanting to share what we think, what we feel like is missing, what we feel like the media or the nation or our friends or whoever, the part that they're not bringing to the forefront. And sometimes in the midst of that, what we do, I feel like, and you can test this out for yourself, but I feel like what a lot of we are doing, you and I, is we're doing the same thing that we hate. We're doing the same thing that drives us nuts on the opposite side. So a lot of the things that I see shared are out of frustration that, again, either if it's like the news coverage or whatever, like they're focused so much on this piece that they miss this piece. But what we do in that so often is an overreaction that becomes unfair the other way. So instead of saying yes, and so often we say, yes with such fine print, but and with such huge print. And here's the thing that is happening that you may not realize is happening. And I'm sure that it happens with me more than I realize as well, but I'm thinking about it because I believe that it's a factor. And what's happening is that we become kind of echo chambers for our own ideas sometimes, and the people that sometimes engage with us, like as we share strong ideas, and sometimes in that struggle, sometimes we just get all the amens because the people that were in our circles think like us. But sometimes, even when we argue about things, a lot of times the people that are arguing always don't have a stake in the game, so to speak. Sometimes it's just, for us, it's just ideas, and where for other people, it's their real life. And so here's my concern. When we share our opinions and our frustrations so strongly, and sometimes it comes across so unequivocally, and we in a sense label people as good, bad. We call people that belong to certain groups or political parties certain names and things like that. What we're doing when we do that without realizing it, and again, this is not blame, this is me too, okay? What we do when we do that without realizing is that we close down space. We don't open up space. We don't show that, hey, I have this idea, or this thing's on my mind, or I wonder about this, but what do you think genuinely? We close down space when we assert ourselves, when we assert our opinions. Here's how we're supposed to see it. Here's how it is. Here's what these people, whoever they are really like. We close down space. And what happens when we do that is a few of our friends that disagree with us maybe will step in. Many will just move on because they'll think, well, you're so strong in your opinion that you're not really a safe person to disagree with. And here's the problem with that. The people that we most need to be listening to and caring for aren't going to engage with us. They're not going to help us grow. They're not going to help us see a side or an opinion or a perspective or experience that we hadn't seen before. They're going to instinctively think you're not a safe person to talk to about this. And so we need to be really, really careful about that. I believe, because, again, if somebody says, whether it's a political party, Democrats are stupid, Republicans are ignorant. When we say things like that, if somebody belongs to or feels affiliated with one of those groups, they're going to think, well, you're not a person who really cares much about me because I have reasons for whatever, it is that I think or a position that I hold. And so when we make claims like that, these kind of people are bad people. These kind of people are whatever. So really, what I'm trying to do in this season, what I'm trying to do right now, is listen to other people's opinions, listen to other people's perspectives, listen to other people's experiences. And so I really believe that if we would listen, if we would not just wait for other people to chime in and disagree with us and offer their perspectives, but if we would purposely seek out those who have different opinions from us, if we would seek to first understand before being understood, I think we would open up that space and we would have more empathy for other people that think differently than us. Friends, I'm not talking about changing your core convictions here. I'm not talking about changing every opinion. Now, maybe some of them you will. What I'm talking about is loving other people, respecting them. Because if you can understand their experience and their situation and their thinking on something, you might well still disagree. We are going to disagree. But you can love somebody while disagreeing with them. But just saying that I love you while disagreeing with them doesn't mean much. Actually, loving them is choosing to listen. If you have a strong opinion about something that's going on now let me give you an example. When protests lead to what we would call rioting, right? When protests go over the top, when it relates to destruction and violence and things like that, and so many of us, right, think like that's insane. Like, what's going on? Like that's ridiculous. I need to speak out about this. Rightly so. But let me ask you this. Have you taken the time to purposely engage with one of your Black friends, brothers and sisters, and ask them, hey, I'm really, this really is bugging me. Is there some aspect of this that I'm not seeing that you can help me see to understand why this is happening? All right. And the idea that we're probably going to agree that this isn't good. But if we can't understand why something is happening, why somebody's thinking or feeling a particular way, if we can't understand that, our response is going to be ridiculousness and hate and craziness. On the other side, I don't think a lot of times we have much empathy or sympathy for how hard it is to be a police officer right now, right? And so, and we frame when we frame things in certain ways, as certain groups and sort of people do, um, it makes it sound not like we want to help things get better, but rather that we're just casting criticism. You know, I mean, so many of the old adages, if you will, that are just kind of we all kind of agree on the idea about walking a mile in another person's shoes. Um, we don't tend to do that. Life is tough. It's complex. It's complicated. There's all kinds of pressures and factors and things. And I guess my encouragement just today here is open up space. Realize that you don't know everything. I don't know everything. I don't know what other people are experiencing or going through. But the application point is this: seek out people that are in these experiences. If you have strong opinions about policing, reach out to a friend who is a police officer and ask them, hey, I'm concerned about police brutality. Really is bothering me. Can you help me understand the dynamics of what it's like to be a police officer in these situations? Again, me as a white man, I have a lot of, I can think a lot of things about what it's like to be a black person is or not. I don't have a clue. The only way that I can have any idea is by asking, what's your experience like this? I've shared some videos and thoughts and things to try us to think more deeply about racism. And, we engage back and forth in that in so many ways. But my point is not that I have the right view about racism. My point is that when I talk to people who have experienced it, my perspective changes. And so we can argue about things back and forth, but for so many of us, we're arguing from a place of not having to live with it, right? Again, I can say, well, I have a theory about how policing can be better, but I'm not a police officer. So I don't know what it's like. That doesn't mean my opinion isn't valid or doesn't matter or it's not a good idea. It just means I don't know what it's like. I can have an opinion about what racism is or isn't, but I've not experienced it. And so what do I know? I know precious little. Very, very little. The only way that I can know more is by building friendships and listening to people with different experiences than I do and that I have. So I hope that helps you maybe a little bit today. I want to go on the video instead of typing just because I hope you can hear my heart. It's not judgment. It's just saying I think I can do better. And I think a lot of us can do better than what we've been doing by opening up space, by listening, not just by saying, I'm here if you want to come and tell me something, but by going after relationship with people that are different than us and saying, here's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? Here's some of my thoughts. Is there something that I'm missing? And in that exchange, I think we can open up space. Again, we may not change our views. We may not change our perspectives. But when we think about the perspectives of others, my hope is that we won't label and vilify. And there's things that we can avoid saying, just things that we can avoid phrasing in certain ways that are unhelpful and even hurtful. We can have an idea that's a valid thing to put out there, but when we state it in a certain way, it can really hurt people. It can make the hurt worse and the offense worse. So I guess my invitation is just to join me in this idea of trying to opening up space, of believing that I don't know everything, that I don't know other people's experiences, and that by hearing from them, that I'm going to grow and be a better friend and a better person, a better citizen, and for me, a better Christian. So, this is really important to me, guys. I hope it is to you too. So thanks a lot, everybody who joined in here today, and have a great day. I love you guys. Bye.